News Eye on Agriculture with Britton Rucker.
Nearly 70 horses dead at an Oklahoma ranch. We have answers about a toxic feed additive that killed them and the danger it poses. And coming up, the Kansas Supreme Court rules on key property rights, clearing up road ditch disputes and farm protections. What this landmark decision means for you. Good evening and welcome to Eye on Agriculture. I'm Britton Rucker. While the nation's dairy supply remains safe, the avian flu continues to spread. Avian flu has arrived at the top dairy producing state in the country. California authorities reporting cows at 3 dairy farms in the state have tested positive for H5N1. The infected herds are in California's Central Valley region. The state ag department says the infected dairies are now under quarantine. That means the H5N1 outbreak in dairy cattle has now spread to 14 states, including here in Kansas. USDA reporting more than 190 herds have been infected since March, along with 12 dairy and poultry farm workers. The Kansas State Fair is also watching out for avian flu. Organizers are taking extra steps to keep both fair goers and livestock safe. You'll still see dairy cattle shows, but animal exhibitors will need to have extra tests done on their animals beforehand. That includes clear milk tests for lactating cows, and those bringing animals from out of state will need a certificate from a vet.
We are implementing some extra hand washing stations and stuff, so if we have fair goers go in to the dairy area and then maybe, a little further down the road, they're going to walk into the poultry barn, which is where, really the disease is being seen to be terminal, with the poultry.
The last positive case of avian flu in Kansas was back in April. And speaking of the Kansas State Fair, it's continuing to feature agriculture all around the state. This week, you can watch events such as the Dairy Cattle Show, the 4-H Horse Show, 4-H and FFA Dairy Goat Show, 4-H Poultry Contest, and more. You can see the full schedule by heading to our Eye on Agriculture section of our 12 News app on the links we mentioned section. Now, agriculture officials in 5 counties detect a disease that impacts the growth of corn here in the Sunflower State. K-State Research and Extension confirms corn stunt disease is now in Sedgwick, Pratt, Edwards, Stafford, and Riley counties. The disease causes stunted corn growth, leaving farmers with major losses if it spreads through an entire crop. This is the first detection of the disease this year, but so far the impact is low. Ag experts say the best way to avoid the disease is premature prep, like planting corn early. New information in the deaths of nearly 70 horses last week on an Oklahoma ranch. A feed company with locations here in Kansas says its product is to blame. The Oklahoma Department of Agriculture confirmed last week the contaminated feed, in fact, came from Kansas. The president of Livestock Nutrition Center says testing shows a shipment of horse feed to Oklahoma contain meninsin. That's a feed additive used for cattle, and veterinarians say it is toxic to horses.
Horses are extremely sensitive to this particular feed additive, and it interrupts the conduction pathways of their heart at a high enough dose, leading to an acute heart attack.
The president of the Livestock Nutrition Center says it likely ended up in the horse feed because of failed cleanout procedures and a sensor malfunction. The Oklahoma Department of Agriculture is still waiting for lab results from a sample of feed taken last week. They did confirm the feed originated in Kansas. Kansas farmers are set to explore the power of drones in agriculture at a free session in Garnett. This is hosted by the Frontier Extension District. Experts will showcase how drones can boost farm efficiency, from spraying crops to monitoring livestock. It's happening again at the Garnett Community Building September 10th at 10 a.m. Registration details are available at your local extension office. Some experts are saying you can expect some changes in the farmland market this fall. According to Jim Rothermich of Iowa Appraisal, auctioneers are struggling to get land sold after multiple years of a red-hot land market. The high number of no sales is the new trend to watch. Rothermich adds the market is down about 6% from its peak in 2022, which he sees as a relatively healthy thing in comparison to current commodity prices. But that downward trend is still troubling some auctioneers. Despite the softening overall, he believes high quality farm ground will still sell for a premium. In Argentina, corn acreage could drop by 20% due to damaging pests and low prices, causing ripple effects in the global market. Meanwhile, in the U.S., crop insurance remains at a crucial safety net, protecting farmers against such uncertainties. Unlike the past, there is no U.S. program to idle acreage, but the robust crop insurance system offers American farmers stability, especially in the upcoming 2024-25 crop year. This situation underscores the challenges faced by farmers worldwide as they adapt to economic and environmental pressures. Coming up on Agriculture Aquaponics, how researchers are learning to raise fish and plants at the same time to reduce the waste of nutrient-rich water.